So go ahead and gather, see anyone comfortable here or sit down. We'll talk a little bit. The air conditioning is nice out here, right?
Yes.
So this is the Dugout Club. Who's ever sat here? Okay. If you watch games on TV, who's watched the game on TV? And you see those nice blue seats behind home plate, and you always think, wow, some of them are open. If I had a chance to sit there, I'd sit there. How come people aren't in their seats? Well, they probably are here. They're just here, right? They're not in their seats. They're taking advantage of this. If you sit in any one of those blue-padded seats behind home plate from dugout to dugout, you're in the Dugout Club. And you get to come down here and take advantage of this fine dining experience, right? It's not your typical concession stand. It's premium dining, comes with the price of the $1,000 ticket. $1,000 give or take, right? Probably starts at $600 or $700. Might be more than that, depending on who we're playing. But it's a pricey ticket. You get all the food you want, and you're probably not getting hot dogs and nachos, right? You're probably getting prime rib and Chilean sea bass or steak and lobster or something when you come in here. They got a carving station at that end. All you can eat fruit and salad bars, sides, great dessert island. The only thing that doesn't come with the price of the ticket is the alcohol. You're on your own for buying drinks. But, you know, pretty good vibe in here, Celebrity Central sometimes. Air conditioning is going, and obviously the games are up on the monitor. You can watch in here, get out of the sun for a little bit. I enjoy the paintings behind us, and they tell you a little bit about Dodger history, and that's where I want to start, right? We weren't always in Los Angeles, and we weren't always the Dodgers, right? Where did we get our start? In Brooklyn. And I always wondered when I was younger, how come there were the New York Yankees and the New York Giants, and then we were the Brooklyn Dodgers? When we started in 1890, Brooklyn wasn't part of New York City yet. It was the fourth largest city in the United States, so it was a city on its own. So we were Brooklyn, they were New York. It wouldn't have made any sense for us to be New York, right? So we played a nice little stadium called Ebbets Field. It was built in 1913. And there's a picture of it on the far left. It's Jackie Robinson in 1955. So the stadium was pretty old by then, right? So it was built in 1913. You can tell by those old pillars in front of the level that hold the level up. You get some obstructed view seats in the older stadiums. We don't have those here at Dodger Stadium. But that's Jackie Robinson hitting in the 1955 World Series when we beat the New York Yankees to win our first World Series. Thing about old stadiums, you can fix them up and make them look better. Like they're fixing up Wrigley Field right now in Chicago. Wrigley Field was built in 1914, so it's about that old. But the bigger problem with Ebbets Field is it was built on one city block, so there was no room for expansion, and there were only a few hundred parking spaces. Now that wasn't a problem in 1913 because everybody took the trolley car to the stadium. By 1950s, people had started to move away. They needed a place to park when they drove into the stadium. Attendance started to dwindle because there was nowhere to park. It was hard to get to. So our owner, Walter O'Malley, at the time, was looking for a place to move the stadium. He wanted to build another stadium in Brooklyn, really wanted to stay in Brooklyn. Couldn't get together with the city on a location. So he ended up looking for somewhere else to move. And Los Angeles was shopping for a team. They wanted to bring Major League Baseball to the West. Eventually, Mr. O'Malley took a helicopter flight over this mountain. It was called Lookout Mountain back then, overlooking Chavez Ravine. And he saw the city skyline and the Hollywood sign and that great view in center field and said, I want to move. And Major League Baseball said no. There were 17 other teams that were all east of St. Louis and Kansas City at that time. Why would we send them all the way to California just to play the Dodgers? Maybe if you can talk somebody else into moving to California with you, would think about it. So, who did the Dodgers talk into moving to California with them? In 1958, the Giants moved out here with us from New York also. Mr. O'Malley suggested they take a helicopter flight over the Bay Area in San Francisco. Who's ever been to the Bay Area in San Francisco? Yeah. It was May in the morning. San Francisco is nice in May in the morning, right? What happens in the afternoon? Starts to get windy, starts to get colder, starts to get foggy. So that was our first win against the Giants in California. They got the fog, we got the sunshine. We both came out together in 1958, and we needed to play somewhere else while Dodger Stadium was being built. Does anybody know where we played for 4 years?
Yes.
Where?
LA Coliseum.
The LA Coliseum, right here. This is the 1959 World Series. Don Drysdale is pitching to a player named Ted Kluszewski. Ted, you can tell it's Ted because he had those big arms, and he used to always cut the sleeves off to intimidate the pitcher, just so he would show off those biceps. But we played in the Coliseum for 4 years until 1962 when Dodger Stadium opened. Some great runs in the early 60s. Had a little bit of a dry spell in the 70s. And then 1981 comes around, and our top two pitchers, Jerry Royce and Bert Hooton, are both injured, and they throw the ball to a 20-year-old Fernando Valenzuela on opening day. Fernando took the baseball world by storm, right? His first 8 games were complete games. 5 of them were shutouts. He was the best baseball player on the planet at that time. He hit 360. You know, El Toro was great, right? This is a picture in the 1981 World Series. We lost games 1 and 2 back in New York. Needed to win game 3, otherwise we're done. So they toss the ball to Fernando. He throws a 147-pitch complete game. Then we won the rest of the series, you know, largely because of Fernando's, great pitching in game 3. And later in the 80s, in 1988, that was voted as you got the pump going, right? The best sports moment in LA history, voted on by LA fans. They took a poll. Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. That's Kirk Gibson at the plate. He was the league MVP that year. Wasn't expected to play. He was injured. Could barely run around the bases. Didn't get in uniform and get introduced before the game. Sent his wife home. Throughout the game, Vin Scully kept saying, it doesn't look like Gibson's available tonight. Gibson's not in uniform. Gibson's not going to play. And I think it got under his skin a little bit. And he went and took some swings in the batting cage and said, I could give you one at bat. And he sure did. Bottom of the 9th inning with a runner on base. You could see the ball flying by the scoreboard on the right side up there towards the top. It's amazing how one little dot of white on a painting brings it to life, right? And I love the look on the pitcher's face. Who was that pitcher? What's his name? Do you remember? Dennis Eckersley, right? As you walk out of here, look at his face as he's whipping his head to watch the ball leave. Interesting thing about that home run is that, imagine the scramble for a home run ball, right? Now imagine for the scramble for a game-winning walk-off home run in the World Series, right? Everybody goes crazy. Whoever got it didn't hold it up and show that they had it. They didn't give it to Gibson or the Dodgers or the Hall of Fame. They didn't sell it on eBay. They didn't tell anybody that they got it. So to this day, nobody knows who picked up and got that Gibson home run ball. It's one of the great mysteries of Dodger Stadium. And you couldn't prove it now, right? Because there's no way to authenticate it. So somebody's either got a great baseball sitting on their shelf that only them and their family know, or they let their kid play with it in the sandlot. It's the dog's chew toy or something. I don't know. Best moment in Dodger history. When you get back out on the field, if you look in section 302, right next to the bullpen in right field, 4 rows up, you'll see a seat painted blue, and that's where the ball landed. Kirk Gibson signed the front of it, and there's a plaque on the back that says Vin Scully's home run call. So you can sit there during the game. It costs a little bit more, but the proceeds go to Kirk's Parkinson's Foundation. So when you get back out on the field, you can take a look. Let's see some more. We're going to take a look and see some trophies. Come on down.